cost of grains is a driving force, and it's one of the major factors in the cost to raise swine. And so those factors, availability of feed factors, has an effect on the rearing of swine in the swine industry. Breeding types by breeders. The industry is a lot of artificial insemination that is being used within the swine industry. And so specific types, and what like we've been discussing all semester in other breeds of animals, breeder type, what's the preference, the demand, what are the consumers really looking for? And so those are driving factors of the breed and how the animals are being bred. Types, meat, bacon, and lard. We'll get further into those. Lard, definitely an old practice of why we raised swine, which is not as prevalent as previously, but it still goes on, but you'll hear more about that later. So major pure breeds that we have: Hampshire, Yorkshire, Duroc, Spot, Portland, Chester White, and Land Rants are some of your major purebred swine. U.S. swine breeds, 4 classifications. You have the sire, the carcass breeds, you have your maternal breeds, your minor breeds, and swine company genetics. And so, like any of the other breeds that we have discussed previously, you have your certain classifications and why and what different breeds are better at these 4 particular classifications.
Isn't terminal breeds part of that?
Say it one more time.
Terminal breeds. Would it not be a part of that type of classification?
Yes, you can. These are some of the 4 major classifications. Yes. Classification by type. You have your lard, you have your meat pigs, and your bacon. So all your breeds are now meat/lean type. And so previously, historically, they were breeding pigs for their lard to put on as much of this back fat that they could. And so now the demand is more now for healthier, leaner type meat. And so that's what U.S. breeds are now known for, so to speak. 7 major purebreds versus new and hybrid breeds. You have your black and white or sire carcass breeds. White or your mother breeds, your maternal breeds. So your sire carcass breeds are your Berkshire, your black with white spots with red ears. They're origin of England, medium frame and size. Probably the best mother of color breeds. Hampshire black with white belt. Origin Kentucky, known as the carcass breed. So these are just examples of.
It was Berkshire, and what was the other one?
Bolden.
Hampshire. So your Berkshire developed in England. Characteristics, they have the black with erect ears is supposed to be. And your 6 points, or your face, legs, and tail are their 6 white points. That are some of the distinguishing characteristics about them. So they're a true bred and the highest quality of pork. So Hampshire, most popular sire or terminal crosses. Poland, China, black with 6 white points with drooping ears. So that's a distinguishing characteristic. Two have 6 black spots, but you can tell and determine them by their ears. Butler and Warren counties, Ohio, is where they originated from, known for their carcass merit and size. Some of these pictures got mixed up. Yeah. So again, your Hampshire is known for their back strap across their back. So anytime you'll see intact male, you'll see that the males have their testes still intact. So one of the terminologies in the book, but it didn't really show how you could determine it. So your Hampshire, originally England, imported in 1825 to Kentucky, so it's been around quite a long time. Some of the slang words, other terms used is thin rinds, major growth in the around the 30s. So black with white belt around the front shoulders of the animal. It's one of their distinguishing traits. So your carcass traits and heaviest muscle, and it's the leanest breed. So if you're looking for lean, heavier pig that puts on more weight, and you have a leaner bred, you're going to have go with your Hampshire breeds. So these are just a variety of pictures that you can see within your PowerPoint of how some of them can be, they're the same breed, but they can kind of vary and look differently, but you still know if you stick with those characteristics of the points, you'll be able to differentiate between the two. And some of the spotting is not going to always be dead on, but if you look for those distinguishing characteristics, then you should find color breeds. You have your spotted Portland China until 1961. Approximately 50% white and black with drooping ears. India was where it originated, imported from England. The train, known for carcass yield, but not so much for its quality and meat. You have your Duroc, red drooping ears. They can be sandy to dark red in color, but you always know them because they'll have that tint of red or burgundy-ish looking color, known for growth and their hardiness. The Pietrine breed, and so they can show up spotted or not so much spotted. And so it's a development in Belgium. Characteristics, they can be spotted, like I said, or they can have more solid in color and have that lighter undertone. And so their leanness and muscle, they have below average pork quality in their meat. And so you can see where it's more elongated and more muscular, especially in the rump area. the hind area. And so it has that double muscle look on its backside. Then more variety in the pictures. So you'll see that it's more of a longer, slender, leaner breed compared to some of your other ones. So Duroc, also called New Jersey Red, sire name is a Duroc. So it has a red body, variation light to dark in this red color. Ruggedness, durability, very feed efficient, growth, the rate of growth is very efficient for the amount of feed that it eats and converting it into muscle mass. So I've had the opportunity to work with them and do research on it. They are very efficient in putting weight up and getting to their growing finishing rate very quickly in a shorter period of time. These are just more pictures of how the color can vary. So this one also, they're known for their long, leaner, slender bodies. So your white breeds are considered your Yorkshire or your Chester breeds, white with erect, your Yorkshire, white with erect ears, occasionally black spots on the skin that does not disqualify them to be registered. And so sometimes you see in these white breeds, you may see they can be still considered purebred, but they may have black spots on them that may show up. So known as a mothering breed due to their prolificity, milking ability, feed efficiency, and structurally sound. And so Yorkshire is one of the ones that you typically see when you are at a growing finishing pig operation. And so especially for sows, they produce quite a number of high litter counts, and they are good at milking and retaining, using the wrong word, low mobility rate and producing of their litter and piglets. They are usually healthy, so structurally sound. The origin is England, where it is known as the large white. So these were imported in 1830. So these are traditional ones that you usually see. So they have the erect ears, and they are considered to be a larger breed, which they do get quite big. They're known for their maternal characteristics, as mentioned before. Most carcasses originate of mother breed, and so they are considered dual purposes or dual purpose breed. Elongated, lean breed, typical pig you usually see. With good mothering characteristics, they do have a lot of teats, come fully filled, and they are very high producers of milk. They're able to maintain large litter amounts, and they are often bred within themselves for the sows that produce higher litters and are good mothers.
Why isn't pig milk popular at all?
I guess it's a preference question. In some areas they do consume pig milk, And so in the US, it's not so common. I'm sure you'll find, people who may consume them. It's just about your preference and the content or the nutrient value within the milk. And so a lot of our breeds in the US, what they're bred specifically for and known for, is kind of what we stick with. But I mean, it's milk. It's nutrition value. If you want to taste it and try it, go ahead. Let me know how it tastes. But some people do consume pig milk, and so I mean, it's just like I guess any other milk. It's just the nutritional content would be different. I'm sure variety and taste, but I have never tasted pig milk, so I don't know.
Bacon flavored milk.
It may taste like bacon. You never know. It might. So yeah, your Chester Whites, developed Pennsylvania, mid 1800s. So developed in the year. Pig were one among the first domesticated animals, and so that's why those numbers are important to see how far back the lineage of these different breeds occur and when they came over and were able to become established within the U.S. They have a white body, similar to the Yorkshire, or more bone, rugged design compared to other mother breed. Maternal characteristics, durability, and have considered to have a higher meat quality. And so they are very efficient feeders and packing on the muscle and meat. So your Chester White, drooping ears, Delaware countries of Pennsylvania, excellent mothering ability, prolific and adapt well. So again, you'll see a lot of these that are bred in larger operations, and I've done research on these, which these and the Chesters and the Yorkshire, pretty good breeds for research, mild mannered and temperament, not temperamental at all. Very friendly breeds. I'm not sure if Tuskegee has swine. Does Tuskegee have swine on their farm? Anybody know?
No.
Okay. Different breeds. So they're more elongated. And you'll see if you continue reading in the book, some breeds, their elongation gives them more ribs. So you have more, everybody like pork ribs, not everybody, but pigs are known for their pork ribs. And so some breeds have more ribs than others, and so that why that breed is more of a meat breed, and your ribs considered to be meat and rib breeds. And some breeds are considered better for bacon. So American Land Ranch, white, long body, level top, straight snout, and top ears. Origins, Denmark, very prolific and may have 16 to 17 pairs of ribs. So normal is 13. So like I was just saying, this breed has a lot of ribs. So the normal is 13 and they have 16 to 17. So you can be able to tell their structure and their build, how the body sits and accommodates these additional ribs for this particular breed. May have black spots or freckles. This picture is not showing up well. It's a Danish, around since about the 1930s. It was imported, white with big droopy ears, fine bone, distinctly long body, most prolific breed, largest litter size. So those additional ribs allow them to carry a larger litter size and have more teats and milk production. So generally, swine breeds are grouped by your hair color, drooping of ears, and erect ears. Popularity of breeds have changed with time and technology. And so as they change with time, like I mentioned before, a lot of them back in the day, they were bred for and grown for your lard, which we need. And so as the demand and the shift has changed for consumer reasons, you want healthier, leaner meats. And so that's how they're being bred. And technology has definitely changed the industry in a lot of good ways. The pig farming swine farm operations have decreased. However, the number of head has not decreased as much as the number of operations. And so the technology has allowed this industry to become more efficient in raising raising the heads that they have, and the birthing, and the artificial insemination has also played a major role of the growth in this industry, and the breeding and crossbreeding of different breeds. Hybrids becoming more common. At one point in time, the more purebred animals were at a higher demand, and so now because we have these hybrids and this crossbreeding, some of those purebreds, you can still get them. They're still out there, but they're not as in high demand as they were previously due to the crossbreeding and trying to breed for certain characteristics to make your operation more efficient. Cheers, do we have any questions in the chat?
Dr. Bolden-Tiller already answered them.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. So reproduction goals and facts. So you have a 114-day gestation for pigs is 333. 21 days of lactation, 5 days rebreeding, 140 days fairing intervals, 2.6 litters per year times 12 weaned pigs per sow. And so you'll see these numbers and this push to have these larger litters and breeding, trying to get in at the least 2 per sow. And so within the text, it breaks down how the dates are specific, and once you wean the piglets, it has a 4 to 7 day period where they rebreed the sow, and whether it's artificial inseminated or they introduce a male to them. And so it equals 31.2 pigs weaned per sow per year. Gives about 5 less. So make sure you go through and do the reading for those specific details of gestation and reproduction for swine in comparison to the other animals that other breeds that we've covered in the past. Double mating, 12 and 24-hour intervals. Increase CR litter size. You have pen mating or pasture breeding, 1 boar per 10 sows. And so boars, their production of sperm is very high. And so looking at in the text, you can use just 1 sperm session from a boar, and you can AI 7 to 10 or more animals from just that 1 session. So they're high producing. That's where nutrition comes in very high. Pen mating and pasture breeding. So it has its advantages and disadvantages. You can just turn it loose, let nature do its thing. which is a good thing. You're not having to catch them and handle them too much. And some of the disadvantages can be the spread of diseases, or depending on your setup, you have your fighting or destruction of your property and land. And so all things have their advantages and disadvantages. Hand mating, as previously mentioned, estradiol taken to breed pen with the boar, and artificial insemination within the swine industry has increased quite a bit, especially since I started in animal science. And so it's used to keep down on various diseases, and it becomes cheaper to not be able to have to house and keep a boar for different operations. And so a lot of people are going towards or have already assumed AI practices. So you have your female anatomy. I can see my.
Dr. Dukes, we have a question in chat.
Okay, go ahead.
What are CRs and 333?
333 is the gestation for swine. And so we kind of follow those. Or is it 3 months? Oh, I'm drawing a blank. It's 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days, I think, for your gestation period. And I'm drawing a blank. But yes, it's 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days, I'm thinking. Dr. Bolden-Tiller, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I just looked at this morning.
No, that's it. So gestation period is equivalent in terms of days to 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days. That's all. It's just a cute way to remember it.
Right. Yeah.
They also asked, what are CRs?
CRs were, what was it, double mating, 12. I'm drawing a blank. 12 and 24-hour intervals. What do you remember what CRs is, Dr. Bolden-Tiller? I'm drawing a blank. Let me their size. She must have did something else. Hopefully I remember by the time we finish today, and I'll answer it in the chat. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now. So female anatomy. All right, trying to move my screen so I can see. So you have your ovaries here. If you can see, can you see my cursor me moving? You have your ovary duct, or you can just follow it. And your uterine horn, here, this coily thing, urethral body, and the cervix. And so you have your rectum, your vagina, and vulva, urethra, and bladder for your female anatomy. Swine. And so that's why artificial insemination, because it's not this long, complex system. And so you're able to reach the cervix. You're able to insert the vagina very easily and more efficient for pig operation. And so that's why it's more efficient and easier to artificially inseminate. Female cells, sorry. So on the other one, you have your ovary, the insides, basically inside anatomy. And so you have your ovaries, which are these small circular items here. And then let me start where I'm supposed to. The conventional artificial insemination is within your cervix. So it goes up into your internal urine insemination in the body, urethral body. So it's inseminated in here. And so it's inseminated 2 to 3 of the ways up to the urine horn. And so all of this can only take place when the animal has shown or expressed or showed that it is considered to be in heat. And so your book covers several of the signs and be able to see where the animal will stand still, allow pressure on the back, frequent urination. And so once it is inserted, 5 to 6 inches in length, so it's not really long or hard to get into. You pass the end of the cervix. Once you get to this area, uterine body is within here, and so it's inserted into here into the cervix, and it goes up uterine horn, and so that's why how it is able to meet the ovaries and meet the eggs within the system. So puberty, 150 to 250 days, mean equals 200 days. So some of your crossbreeds, when you're crossbreeding, those particular breeds may hit puberty faster or slower than the others. So your Landrats and your Yorkshire and your Durocs, which is your Durocs reaching your least amount of days to your greater amount of days for your crossbreeding. It can be delayed, hastened by a number of factors to reaching puberty. So that's why it's good to keep detailed records. So some of the delays or the hastened by numbers of factors. You have inbreeding, your nutrition is not there. Swine production is very specific to the nutrition. So it's very important to have the nutritional diet for swine correct, because so many issues with them can go wrong. Confinement, lighting, boar exposure are a number of factors. Earlier in boar, and so sometimes depending on your breeds or crossbreeding, some may put a boar on earlier than say another swine farm operation. It just depends on the breeds and what a number of the other factors that play a rate or play a factor on these delayed puberty rates and breeding. So estrus cycle, 21 days. Pro-estrus, you have it's 1 to 3 days. Alert to boar, but will not accept. So it's kind of this courting, mating stage where she's ready, but just not ready yet. And so she's okay for him to be around, and they're not fighting, or she's not fighting him off. Estrus, about 3 to 4 days. Physical and behavioral signs. Ovulations occurs late estrus, and so once you see these physical signs, like I said, urinating, she's tolerant of him mounting her, and among some other signs, then late in those estrus, around that 4th day or so, then that's when ovulation will occur. Diestrus, 14 days. Metaestrus is 2 days. So if you're interested in looking at the details, because in swines, they are different. And so, this chapter is so long, but they are different in how they breed in the estrus cycling and the gestation period compared to other breeds. So estrous cycle, you have your progesterone, which are your circles, which are here, and your estradiol is your diamond, which is here, goes low, LH and FSH. So those are different hormones that allow the estrous cycle to happen. And so you have your estrus, and it kind of goes up into these peaks, and it rises and falls. So the days of estrus cycle. So you have your 1 to 19 here from estrus point to estrus point. And so within those days, you see your progesterone, your LH, your all these. Progesterone is one of the main hormones that ushers in estrus and breeding. So of course, that one will go high, let you know when it's the breeding cycles are about to happen and at the highest point, and when they're acceptable for the sow to be breeded. And so, just like in humans, so you have the ones that peak, which is your estradiol, it peaks, and then when you no longer need that to get ready, it's like a can't think of it, but it's like an in and out cycle. So when it's trying to get started, you have your estradiol and your LH that increases. But then once you no longer need that in those hormones, and your progesterone, and you're ready for estrus and to receive, then your progesterone, it increases. And then once it has taken, or the animal has, I guess, so to speak, been bred, for lack of a better term, then it decreases. Your other hormones will increase to maintain and keep it. So this is just a science, not really clear, but it's just cycle wheel that's been around for a long time. And so it's a little spin wheel where you can use it to tell when animal it should be in estrus, or when is a good time to breed the animal, by how the numbers line up. And I'm not sure if they'll show you one of those in lab, but I know we used one of those when I was a master's student. So ovulation and fertilization. Ovulation lasts 1/3 estrus, Q, 2 hours. Rate average 17 sows, 13 yields, and it's heritable. And so whether or not those inherited. So it is a chart in your text, whether it distinguishes what characteristics are inherited and what percent of which their particular characteristic is inherited. So fertilization, all or non-response, optimal breeding is 12 to 24 hours after start estrus. Sperm is viable for 24 hours. And so it's very important, especially with artificial insemination, that you keep the sperm viable. And so it's not something that you can just put on shelf forever. So there are certain ways that you have to freeze, transport, or keep it warm, or so that the sperm can still continue to be viable. And usually practices are, I guess, 1 to 3 days, and some can be a little longer, but that's kind of stretching it. Harvest of sperm, then you kind of try to use it within 24 hours or 1 to 3 days. First serve CR 70 to 90% pregnancy rate.
Excuse me. Dr. Dose, there are a couple of questions in the chat.
It is 9:47, so we'll stop right here and answer questions.
Excuse me.
Dr. B answered some of them, I believe.
So one of the newer questions after the CR and the 333 was what are the difference between the vulva and urethra? Sorry, excuse me.
And the answer was placed in the chat, and it indicated that the vulva are the labia, and it surrounds the urethra through which urine is excreted, similar to humans.
Thank you for responding to that.
Tamia S. Asked, what is the Q?
I'm sorry, Tamia, was that on a slide or something?
It was on the 2nd of July slide that she showed. It was like right before 2 hours.
It's just Q. Yeah, right here. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not sharing my screen, but it's just Q. So it just the queuing up of the estrous cycle, those signs. The queuing up of the estrous cycle. More questions, Tia?
There was a question about a lab assignment submission for lab 5.
I'll go in there and check that really quickly. Look for that to be updated in the next few minutes.
Lab 5, I'm not sure.
Did anybody have an issue? Anybody else have an issue uploading for lab exercise 5? Okay. So no worries, just double check the folder. Okay, just go in and double check the folder. We'll do a refresh in a few moments. Thank you. Any other questions or concerns before we dismiss today?